Okay, we're going to talk about adding integers today. So our opposites, our two integers are opposites if they're represented on the number line by points that are the same distance from 0, but on opposite sides of 0. So like 5 and -5. Okay? Our additive inverse means when we add these opposites together, they will add to equal 0. And we'll talk a little bit more about this later. So to add integers with the same sign, you add their absolute values. So if the signs are the same, so like this is a -7 and a -4, we add it together, and it's -11. Just like 7 plus 4 is 11. Okay? You add them like you would normal numbers, but you keep the negative. So if your signs are the same, you just add them together. So copy this one down. Find -3 plus -2. So my signs are the same. I have a negative and a negative, so I'm going to add them together. What's 3 plus 2? That's 5. So -3 plus -2 is -5. Copy this one down. So we have find -26 plus -17. Again, my signs are the same. So I just add them together. So I'm going to add 26 plus 17. 6 plus 7 is 13. 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So -26 plus -17 is going to be -43. So again, if your signs are the same, if they're both positive or they're both negative, we just add them together. So take a moment to work these three problems out, please. Okay, if you need more time, go ahead and pause this. So -5 plus -7, so I want you to check your answers. My signs are the same, so I'm just going to add them together, so it's going to be -12. -10 plus -4, again, my signs are the same, they're both negative, so I add them together, that's -14. And C, -14 plus -16, my signs are the same, they're both negative, so I add it together and I get -30. So it's pretty easy. When your signs are the same, you just add them. Okay, because it's an addition sentence. If our signs are the same, we add them. But what about if our signs are different? If our signs are different, if we have one positive and one negative, then we have to find the difference. So if our signs are different, we need to find the difference. And what we're going to do is we're going to find the difference of the absolute values. Okay? So when we add integers with different signs, we start at 0, move right for positive, move left for negative. Okay, so it's kind of what we're doing here. So copy these down. 5 plus -3 and -3 plus 2. So I have a positive and a negative, so my signs are different. So I'm going to find the difference in the absolute values. So I'm going to put my larger absolute value first. So the absolute value of 5 is 5, so that goes first. Minus my absolute value of -3 is 3, because our absolute values are always positive. So what's 5 minus 3? That's 2. So now I need to figure out if my answer is going to be positive or negative. Here's how I do that. I look at my absolute values. I have 5 and 3. Which absolute value is larger? 5 is larger. So now we're going to go back and look at our original 5. Was it originally positive or negative? It was positive. So that means my answer is going to be positive. So we'll do the same thing with example 4. We take our absolute value of -3, which is 3, minus our absolute value of 2. Okay. So whichever absolute value is larger, you put that first. So 3 minus 2 is 1. So now I'm going to go back and look at my absolute values. Which one is larger? 3 is larger. Was it originally positive or negative? It was originally negative, so that means my answer is going to be negative. So negative 1 is my answer. So negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. We can also look at this on a number line. So here's 0, negative 3, and then when I add, I go to the right. So if I'm adding 2, that goes 1, 2, that puts me at negative 1. For here, we have 5. So we're starting at 5, we're adding, so typically we go to the right when we add, but we're adding a negative. So that means we have to do the opposite. So we have to go left, 1, 2, 3, which puts us at 2. So when we add a negative, we go left. When we add a positive, we go right. So try these two, please. Okay, go ahead and pause this if you need more time. So 6 plus negative 7. I'm going to subtract my absolute values, and I want to put my larger absolute value first. So my absolute value of 6 is 6. My absolute value of negative 7 is 7. So 7 is larger, so I'm going to put that first. 7 minus 6 is equal to 1. Now we need to figure out if it's a positive 1 or a negative 1. So which is larger, 7 or 6? 7 is. Was it originally positive or negative? Negative. So my answer is going to be negative 1. I do the same thing for E. So I subtract my absolute values. If 19 minus 15 is 4. And it's going to be positive because 19 is larger and was originally positive. So my answer there is positive 4. Okay, copy this one down. 7 plus negative 7. So again, my signs are different, so I'm going to find the difference of my absolute values. So my absolute value of 7 is 7, minus my absolute value of negative 7 is 7. That's going to be 0. So 7 plus negative 7 is 0. And these are our additive inverse. So these are opposites. One's positive and one's negative. It's the same number, but one's positive and one's negative. And when you add those together, they will always equal 0. So this is going to come in handy a little bit later when we start adding more than 2 numbers together. So copy this one down. Negative 8 plus 3. So our signs are different. One's negative and one's positive. So we're going to find the difference in the absolute values. So my absolute value of negative 8 is 8, minus my absolute value of 3 is 3. 8 minus 3 is 5. Is it any positive or negative? It's going to be negative because 8 is larger and it was originally negative. So my answer is going to be negative 5. So negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5. Okay, now we're adding 3 numbers together. So we have 2 plus negative 15 plus negative 2. You can add it in whatever order you want. I'm going to add our like numbers together first. That means I have 2 here that are both negatives. So I'm going to add those negatives together first. Since they're both negatives, I just add them together. So that's going to give me 2 plus negative 17. Because my signs are the same, so I just add them. So that makes it pretty easy. Now my signs are different, so I need to find the difference in the absolute values. My absolute value of negative 17 is 17, and that's larger, so I'm going to put that first. Minus my absolute value of 2. 17 minus 2 is 15. Will my answer be positive or negative? It'll be negative because 17 is larger and was originally negative. So negative 15 is my answer. What do you notice about our answer and our initial expression. We have a negative 15 there, and there's a negative 15 in the expression. So something that we can look at is, look, we have a 2 and a negative 2. Those are opposites. What do our opposites always add up to equal? It always equals 0. So if I see that I have a positive and a negative of the same number, and we're adding it all together, I can cancel that out. And whatever I'm left with is my answer. So if you notice that, it kind of cuts out some of these steps. If you don't notice it, it's not that hard to get the right answer. Either method works. So go ahead and copy these 3 down, and take a moment to work them out, and pause this. Okay, so 10 plus negative 12, my signs are different, so I'm going to find the difference. So I'm going to subtract my absolute values, and my larger absolute value goes first. So 12 minus 10 is 2, and my answer is going to be negative, because 12 is larger and it was originally negative. So negative 2. Negative 13 plus 18, again my signs are different, so I find the difference. So find the difference in our absolute values, put the larger one first. 18 minus 13 is 5. And my answer is going to be positive 5, because 18 is larger and it was originally positive. We know it's positive because there's no negative sign in front of it. H, there's 2 ways you can solve this. You can solve this by adding your like numbers together. Let's add our negatives. So negative 14 plus negative 6 is negative 20. Negative 20 plus 6. Our signs are now different, so we find the difference. So it's 14, and I know it's going to be negative because 20 is larger than 6, and it was originally negative. Another way we can get that is, if you notice, I have a negative 6 and a positive 6. What do my opposites always add up to equal? 0, so they cancel out, so all that I'm left with is negative 14, so that's my answer. Okay, copy this one down. A roller coaster starts at point A. It goes up 20 feet, down 32 feet, and then up 16 feet to point B. Write an addition sentence to find the height at point B in relation to point A. Then find the sum and explain its meaning. So we're going to write integers and put them in an addition sentence. So we need to write an addition sentence to find the height. So then find the sum and explain its meaning. So going up 20 feet, how would I write that integer? It's just a positive 20 plus down 32 feet. That integer is going to be, I write that as negative 32 plus up 16 feet. So that's just going to be positive 16. So here's my addition sentence. So there's the first part. I need to have that. My second part, we're going to work on solving this. What like terms do I have here? I have a positive 20 and a positive 16. Does it matter what order we add in? It does not. So I could regroup this like this. So then I could add 20 plus 16 is 36 plus negative 32. My signs are now different, so I'm going to find the difference in the absolute values. So it's 36 minus 32, which is 4. And my answer is going to be positive 4, because 36 is larger and it was originally positive. So now we need to explain its meaning. So what this means, so we have 4. We're trying to find the height at point B in relation to point A. So this means that point B is 4 feet higher than point A. How do I know it's higher and not lower? I know that because my answer is a positive 4. If it were negative 4, it would be lower. But because it's positive 4, that means it's going to be higher. Okay, so take a moment to copy this down and go ahead and work this one out. So again, you need to write an addition sentence, find the sum, and explain its meaning. So I need all 3 parts to that. So we start off at -3, so the temperature is -3. Then it drops 6 degrees, so it's going to be plus -6. And then it rises 4 degrees, so it's going to be plus 4. So here's my addition expression. So I've got that part down. Now I need to find the sum. So I'm going to add my like terms together. So negative plus a negative. So -3 plus -6, it's going to be -9 plus 4. So my signs are different, so I need to find the difference in the absolute values. 9 minus 4 is 5. My answer is going to be negative because 9 is larger and it was originally negative. So -5. So there's my answer, but what does it mean? It means the temperature is now -5 degrees. So we started at -3. It dropped 6 degrees. So when it dropped 6 degrees, it became -9 degrees. And then it rose 4 degrees, making it now -5 degrees. So the temperature is now -5 degrees. So I have my addition expression, the sum, and the explanation. What does it mean? What is that? Because -5 doesn't tell me anything. You need to tell me what that -5 represents. What does it mean? Okay, that's it for this lesson. Go ahead and let me know if you have any questions, please.